Hi all. Good morning to everybody. Sorry, it's good morning to everybody, and it's my honor to be part of this conference. Before get started, I would like to thank the whole management of CIET, the principal, the vice principal, and the whole faculty members. Thank you once again. Also, my wishes to all whoever published their journals today. So I got the number now. Actually, it's 64, I guess, right? Best of luck to everyone, and keep researching and keep doing your good work forever. So today, in this world, there are several emerging digital trends impacting the information technology sector as a whole. The IT industry has been experiencing a consistent expansion and growth as the information technology sector expand to available job opportunities, organizational structure, available technologies. When we talk about emerging trends, also this conference is all about emerging trends in computational technologies. When we talk about emerging trends, we cannot point out a single technology or single trend because single technology cannot survive by itself, whereas it needs support from other technology as well. So today, instead of talking about a single topic like IoT, cloud computing, so I would like to give an overview about the technologies where they are interrelated, how they are interconnected with each other. That's what I chose a few topics here. Hopefully, we can have a small discussion on various topics like cloud computing, edge computing, IoT, and artificial intelligence. For example, cloud computing, we all know storage of data is one of the key feature. So wherever you go, all the data will be stored in cloud computing. Now, cloud computing is one of the massive data storage for all the things. And also we can try to understand how cloud computing is relatively connected with edge computing. Edge computing currently is not storing the data. Instead of edge computing does the processing the data. So it processing the data with the things locally like IoT devices, and it try to store the data in cloud computing. So what is the interrelation? I will try to explain it in later slides. And IoT, it's the Internet of Things. Everything is a IoT here, right? Every object like human, farm, animal, buses, cars, everything is IoT. So how the edge computing is trying to get the input from the IoT and trying to store the data in cloud computing. So here now 3 points are you got: IoT, edge computing, cloud computing. So when we talk about the data, you know, the artificial intelligence needs loads of data to perform. One of the concept in AI called machine learning, right? For machine learning, what we need to do, we need to load loads of data to in it so that it will perform like a human. So it will, based on the condition, it will take action. So AI is completely running based on data and little bit human coding input. So these are the things emerging now as a whole. So I'm here to give some heads up on each topic. I'm not here to explain every individual topic because it's not a time to explain everything in a whole. So I will try to give some heads up on each topics so that later onwards you can go and research each and every topics. That's the plan here. So hopefully you can, yeah. So this is the agenda today. I will explain a little bit cloud computing, and then in cloud computing, I would like to give two products as an example. One is Amazon Web Services. It's a leading cloud provider, and then M365 again is a leading provider. It's from Microsoft. It's a SaaS product. And then edge computing, how it getting the information from the IoT and how it's getting connected with cloud computing. Also would like to give the story of IoT devices. And then artificial intelligence, then how the IoT and AI working together, the integration of IoT and AI. So finally, the opportunities are, what are the opportunities available in the market? This is our agenda today. Yeah, let's get started with cloud computing. It is one of the cloud computing. What is cloud computing? It is one of the largest trends impacting the IT industry as a whole. More organizations are utilizing cloud computing in order to organize all of their digital information and resources. Nowadays, every company, every colleges, every institutions are having their own cloud computing account. I'm not sure about company, but most of the companies are having, not only company, every individual having their own cloud space. So from Google, yeah, most of us must have their own Google Drive account. So Google Drive provides their own cloud backup if it exits. So currently, Google is providing free of cost for little amount of space. When it exits, you can pay for something as a monthly basis, and then you get some more spaces like GBs or in TBs. That's what every companies and every individual is doing. Cloud computing system offers a versatile, organized location to keep all of our important information safe. Utilizing cloud computing technology, you can improve your data security and optimize your efficiency in the digital space. Also, cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power, without direct active management by the user. So for example, if a company is having infrastructure in cloud, so they can easily add their new resources, right? They can create a virtual machine, they can create a virtual network. Everything is coded now, so no need to manual intervention is not needed. So everyone is creating their virtual machine dynamically, which means through code. Large clouds often have functions distributed over multiple locations, each location being a data center. I will give some heads up about the data center, how the data center is created and how it works in the next slide. Cloud computing systems are one of the largest, most sophisticated emerging technologies in the information technology sector. Sophisticated coding languages are one of the largest emerging trends, allowing organizations to configure high quality websites, software programs, and mobile applications. So wherever you have cloud space, you can have your own website, you can host it, you can create your own applications. So most of the mobile applications are also in the cloud nowadays. Also, it is an on-demand, right? So you can use the cloud services based on the usage. Whatever you use, pay it. Also, you can scale down or scale up. You can increase the virtual machines. You can scale up. If not needed, you can scale down. So these are the basic concepts of cloud computing. And what are the advantages in cloud computing? I'm not sure how many of us aware of the Capex and Opex model. Capex and Opex means it's the first one is capital expenditure, and the second one is operational expenses. So just leave it our information technology. Just think about a normal man. Consider a person or a team is planning to create their own business. Maybe a textile business or any retail grocery shop or anything. So how they define their expenses? First one is capital, right? They will try to buy a shop for them to put the textile shop, right? So most of us, what they do, they will get the land, or they will build their own shop there. That's a capital expenditure, right? We need to put a lot of amount there, lakhs of amount there, and then as soon as they open the shop, they have to do the operating expenses like current bill, payment, salary to the salespersons, and other expenditure like computer billing and other things. So these are the operating expenditure. So the capital expenditure is about acquisition of the land, building the shop, the building, building. Okay, so here most of some of the clever team, what they will do, instead of spending much on the capital, instead of buying the land, instead of building the shops, what they do, they will go for the renting option, right? They will go for renting, and then they will get the shop for monthly 10,000 or 20,000 payment. That's a operating expenditure. So that amount will be paid through their business. So they don't want to have their own uh, first capital investment, right? The same way in cloud computing as well. In our golden era, most of the companies used to have their own data centers, used to have their own computer applications, used to have their own websites and everything, and they managed through some of the resources, right? So after the cloud computing emerged, every single company started using the concepts of cloud computing. So now no companies are giving any capital expenses. So for example, now capital expenditure, no companies are expending. Every company is going for the operating expenses. What they do, they create their own infrastructure in cloud. Instead of on premises, they are trying to make the infrastructure in online. So they are creating their virtual network, they are creating the virtual machines. So based on the availability, based on the need, they are increasing it or decreasing it. We call it scale up and scale down. Also, one more thing in the usage of cloud computing, again, I'm going for the textile shop example. In the textile shop, normally 5 salespersons or 10 salesperson will work in the company. Sometimes, the depends on the festival. For example, Diwali, Christmas, Eid. So on that particular time, every textile company will get more customers. So to manage those customers, what the textile shop owner will do, he will hire some temporary salespersons. They are not permanent. They will hire only the temporary salesperson to accommodate the crowd. So the permanent employees, and plus additionally they will hire 5 temporary one. So they will try to serve on the demand basis, only for the Diwali time, only for the Christmas time, and then they will go off. The same way what cloud computing does, we can have our own infrastructure, virtual machines. Virtual machine is nothing but the computer what we are having in our house, virtual machines. So whenever the on-demand happens, for example, Diwali sale in online e-commerce or Christmas sale, the number of hit will increase. The traffic will be jam in cloud computing, because if we are having one particular RAM, it won't enough to satisfy the customer links. So on that time, what we can do, we can increase which means we can scale up the performance. We can increase, we can add few more RAMs, we can add few more machines as well. As soon as we get the engagement done, we can scale out. So these are the best advantages of cloud computing. And again, based on our usage, we can pay for it. And second best example or best advantages of cloud computing is backup and recovery. So again, one decade or 2 decades back, how we manage the data. Now we used to have a lot of photos, we used to have a lot of information in our machine, in our computer, laptop. Whenever it crashes, we can't get back the data, right? We need to go for the service center. Nothing will happen. So any disaster, we cannot recover our backup. The data's gone is gone. But now in cloud computing, we don't bother about any data. Every single data is backed up by the service providers. So that is, and whenever you need data, so archive data as well. So I need particular in particular date, you can just request them. They will send the data to you. That's the best advantages of cloud computing. And storage. Sorry, storage is one of the unlimited one, right? So there is no there's no limit in cloud computing. Sorry. How much data you want, how much storage you want, is you need to decide it. So service providers are happy to supply with no limit on storage. And security wise, when the concepts of cloud computing introduced in the world, most of the companies, most of the banking sector, most of the sector didn't approach or didn't accept the cloud computing because of the security. So for that, they keep increasing the security. Now this in terms of security, they introduced multi-factor authentication, so you cannot easily get the information. Multi-factor authentication, most of us are already using it. For example, Google has introduced it, right? So when you have the Google Gmail app in your mobile, you can easily connect it and you can open it. You can get the messages. If we are trying to open the Gmail in any other area, in new system, right, in a new computer, if you try to log in your Gmail account, it won't accept. What it does, it will give mobile information. So you need to connect your mobile again, and through there you need to give the password or something. So this is called multi-factor authentication. So in order to log in something, you need to get the information from your another system. So these are the information, these are the security they're implementing it. And also conditional access, I will explain it in the next slide. And the workflows, so they keep creating the workflows. The data are keep going into the cloud computing. So some of the data they are eliminating because most of the IoT devices having 24/7 data creating, right? So we cannot store all the information in the cloud. So for that, we can cut down some of the data. So for that, we can create cloud workflows and other steps as well. These are the advantages, and I would like to give some samples. Now, when cloud computing was introduced, we know there are three services, like infrastructure as a services, software as a services, and then platform as a services. Only these three were there at the time of cloud computing introduced. Only three services. Now every company is introducing their own services. So for example, FAS, function as a services. Function as a service is that's a newly introduced one. Function as a service is a category of cloud computing services that provides a platform allowing customers to develop, run, manage application functionalities without the complexity of building and maintaining the infrastructure, typically associated with developing and launching an app. So previously, in order to deploy an app, we need to have our own structure, right? So we need to have a virtual machine. We need to create our virtual network so that anyone can access our application. So we need to deploy our app into the VPC, virtual private cloud, so that anyone can access our application through internet. Now we don't bother about the rest of the things. We can develop our own application, and we can get the space from the cloud functions or OpenVISC or function. So they will provide the exact container is called is something space. So there just you can deploy it, and you whether you can there you can mention, okay, who are all going to access your application. So everything you can set. Again, it's a click and do some setup there. So only the development area we have to bother. The rest of the things will be taken care of these services. So here in the software as a services, you can everything is a software as a services. I usually tell Gmail as the best example for the software as a services, because Gmail is most of us are using it. When we have a Gmail account, you know, we are having the application in our mobile, or we are using the Gmail in the laptop or something, right? So when we just enter the username and password, the Gmail account shows the data. So where is the data actually? So where are the data are stored? We are having only the username and password. We don't bother about any other infrastructure, right? If you are having mobile, you are connecting through mobile. If you are having laptop, or if you are in travel, wherever you go, just through internet, you are trying to connect the Gmail, and the informations are getting populated. So this is called software as a services. I will explain one of the product from SaaS, which is called Office 365, M365, provided by Microsoft. And other products like DaaS, now data as a services. In cloud computing, data as a services, or DaaS, is a term used to describe cloud-based software tools used for working with data, such as emerging data in a data warehouse, or analyzing data with business intelligence. It is enabled by software as a service again. So data as a service is also is a next version, or is a tweaked version of SaaS. And here you can see the SaaS, which is called storage as a services. So every services, you can see loads of applications, loads of providers are available for every single service models. So here I would like to give a best example as Amazon. So here you can see Amazon in the IaaS section, as well as Amazon in the PaaS section, which means Amazon provider provides platform as a service. Also, they provide infrastructure as a service. I will give a small heads up how they are maintaining the data, how they are creating the data center, and everything. I will in the next slide. Yes, this is Amazon. So you can see in the top image, you can see a lot of regions. Some of the regions are from America, some of the regions from Europe, like Ireland, London, Spain, and some of the regions from Asia, Mumbai, Bahrain, Beijing, Singapore. So what it means, what is the region in terms of cloud computing? What is a region? So regions is nothing but is a geographical region. So there they choose this region as their data centers. So they will choose regions all over the world. Now currently Amazon Web Service have their own 26 regions. There they have maintaining their data centers. Also, they are planning to add a few more regions, 8 new regions. So India is one of the new region. So already in India, they have Mumbai. They have their own setup in Mumbai, and in addition to that, they are planning to create another data center in somewhere else. The exact region we are not sure. Maybe in Mumbai they will create another. We are not sure about it. So now you can see in the world map, everywhere you can see the region, which means for something. So that's a problem. So something happens in the any of the area, they will try to recover from some other places. For example, in the London, if something happens or some data are lost, they will try to get the data from North Virginia or Mumbai. This is what they are maintaining it. So in the region, every region is have the availability zones. What do you mean by availability zones? You can see in the picture. So North Virginia is a region. Under North Virginia, you can see the small dot blues. This is called availability zones. So availability zone is where all the resources are available. So availability zones, you can see these blue dots are very nearby, right? It's not near actually. Every single availability zones are hundreds of miles apart, actually 100 miles or 200 miles, whatever miles. So every single availability zone is apart, is far away from the another one. Every single region every single region at least have 2 availability zones. So here I take Virginia as an example. Under Virginia region, they have 6 availability zones, and every single availability zone is internally connected with low latency cables. You can see the white colors, right? The small dots. This is nothing but it's a cable. In the previous image here also, you can see the white color, right? These are the cables. I will explain how it works. So here, every single availability zone is connected with the low latency cable with high speed connections. Also, it makes sure the availability of all the data. That's what is availability zones. Every single availability zone will make sure the availability data. Wherever someone is trying to access the data, it will make sure the availability of data. So under the availability zone, typically they create the data centers. So this is the place they usually deploy the resources. Resources in the sense virtual storage, virtual machines, virtual network. Everything is a physical network. They will deploy in the every single availability zones. Under availability zone data center, they will create their own data centers. I'm not sure how many of you are aware the data centers. How many of you already have seen data centers? So typically, it's a large amount of systems, computers, large amount of which everything as on the whole, you can see a hell lot of it's like a junk of machines. So every single data center is a junk of machines. So you can get it. So they keep adding it or keep removing the data machines in the data center. This is what the data center works. So you can see every region is having one or more than one availability zone. Under availability zone, they have more than one data centers. Through this data, they are trying to give the information to the world, or they're trying to get the information from the world, and they're storing it here. So the network, the next one is network. How they are connecting the cables. These are the cables, right? These are the cables. They are laying everywhere, even in the ocean. Sorry, it's early morning for me. In the cable everywhere they are putting. So most of the cables are in this ocean. So they're trying to put in this. They are trying to connect all the availability zones. Every availability zones are interconnected, so that's what they are maintaining the data. They're trying to replicate, they're trying to mirror, they're trying to back up, they're trying to recovery. So that's what they are confident about the data. Whatever the data you are putting in the cloud will never get lost. That's a concept. That's what they're doing. So that now we have created our own data center in Amazon. They have created their own data center. And what are the services they're providing through the data center? The first one is identity access management. In Amazon, they have a lot of services, more than 250 services they are providing in Amazon actually. So one of the basic services is IAM. IAM is identity management, or you can call it identity and access management. It's a framework of policies and technologies to ensure that it's a framework of policies. Sorry, it's a morning time, so here the cold and everything is there, so it's keep irritating me. Sorry for that. The identity management, also known as identity access management, is a framework of policies and technologies to ensure that the right users have the appropriate access to technology resources. So in Amazon, the IAM manages all the services. Through IAM, we can get the user access. Through IAM, we can get the group access. Through IAM, we can get the access to all the other services like virtual machines, private network, and other things. So IAM is the identity management. This is where what the Amazon do. If you are getting the Amazon account from them, so AWS account, they will create an account system to you, so you can create one customer account. For example, the company called ABC. So you can create an email ID with abc.com. So there you can deploy the websites like abc.com website. You can deploy it. Everything can be done. So IAM will take care of all the access related things. The second one is VPC. VPC is nothing but it's a network. The VPN virtual network. The same way the Amazon provides. Amazon calls virtual private cloud. Instead of virtual network, they are calling the word as VPC, virtual private cloud. So there you can create your own virtual network. Under virtual network, you can create your own subnet. Subnet is common for the other network as well, right? So subnet is a part which is available under virtual network. Under the subnet, you can host your resources like databases, application, everything. So as soon as you deploy the databases and app through the first one, IAM, you can give access to your fellow team members, or you can give to others. And the another example is EC2, Elastic Cloud Computing, Elastic Cloud Computing. So through this is nothing but is a virtual servers. So we can launch as many as virtual servers as we need, and we can configure the security and networking to manage the storage. Also, we can scale up and scale down the EC2s. Like I said, based on the demand. I said two examples. One is for one example is the textile shop, and the another one is e-commerce. There a lot of purchase will happen on the time of the festivals. So on that period, you can scale up and scale down using the EC2 concept. And the third one is the last one is S3, simple storage services. This is nothing but the storage place where you can deploy, you can upload your images, videos, other documents, anything you can deploy. So it will provide, it's like a bucket. Bucket is nothing but a folder. So typically we call it as a folder, right? We will create our own folders and we'll try to save the data there. The same way Amazon provides a simple storage services is called bucket. We can create a lot of buckets, and inside the bucket, then every information can be stored. So this is what the Amazon works. They create the data centers and then they try to deploy the information there. So you can have, again, it's just a heads up. You can have your own analysis later. And next one, I would like to give some heads up about the SaaS product, software as a service product. This is something different. So previously I was talking about AWS. We can through AWS we can create our virtual network, right? If you are having our company or college, we will try to create the virtual network, and we can assign every single employee as a machine, virtual machine. So what I can do, if I am an employee of particular company, they will assign a virtual machine to me, so I can work from anywhere. That's what most of the companies in India are doing, because most of our company having client in US or Europe. The Europe and US companies are creating virtual network, and they will create the virtual machine as well. So that virtual machine, what they do, they will try to give to the Indian employees. So Indian employees, they can connect the virtual machines from Chennai, from Andhra, wherever they are, they can connect it, and then they can work it. So what's the best beneficial? So if you are there in office today, you can work from the office. The lockdown period, everyone was working from home, right? So at the time, how they connected? They connected through these virtual machines. So they have intermediate laptop, but intermediate laptop may be anything. So is their personal laptop, or is there maybe their office laptop? Through that, they will try to connect the virtual machines. So virtual machines are keep available in the US availability zones, right? I showed some of the availability zones. So some of the, if it is a UK client, they will create the availability zones from London. If the client is from US, they will try to get the availability zones from North Virginia, California, or other countries, other cities. This is what it happens. And now the SaaS product M365 or Office 365 is something different, because here we don't want to create anything. It's a software as a product, a software as a service product. So here what we need to do, we need to have our own username and password. We don't want to create any virtual machines or something. So under this M365, Office 365, they are providing lots of applications. You can see here, right? The small boxes, every small boxes is a small app. Some of the best apps are here is, I can say the first example is MS Teams. Now we are connected through Zoom, right? So most of the companies are having their own M360 account, M365 account. Underneath, they have their own MS Teams to collaborate within the employees. They can have their own online meeting, virtual meeting. They can have their conferences through MS Teams. Also, they have their own Exchange Online. So Microsoft provides Exchange Online for the M365 users. So they can have their own Outlook IDs, so they can try to interconnect. And the SharePoint. And one more thing I told about the security, right? So in the previous days, the security was the only concern when the cloud computing was introduced. Now they introduced a lot of security options. You can see here, right? The enterprise mobility and security. So Microsoft and every single service providers are concentrating on the security related. So here you cannot easily get access to the applications. We need to have some time. If you forget, or if you are trying to access the application from other devices, so we need to have the MFA authentication, multi-factor authentication. Sometimes if you are accessing through other places, they provide a conditional access. So they will keep verifying whether it's logged in user is Nihat, where is he is trying to access the data. So they will choose everything. So based on that, they will try to give the content condition, that is called content conditional access. And then MDM, mobile device management. So most of the companies are having their own mobile devices. So they will provide the mobile devices to their employees, because so nowadays all the apps are in mobiles, right? So if you are using our own mobile app, they cannot supervise us. So instead of that, what they do, they give their own mobile, and there they'll ask us to install whatever needed. For example, the SharePoint, the MS Teams, or Outlook. So everyone is having their own mobile. In their mobile, they have their own the collaboration setup. Everything will be, the Outlook will be there in the mobile. MS Teams will be there. So no, I don't need to carry the laptop everywhere. If any meetings on the way, I can attend through mobile. So again, this mobile is belongs to company. They keep searching, keep validating mobile. So the mobile is only for office purpose. If we misses or if something happens to that mobile, what the company will do, they will try to remove all the data from the mobile. We don't need to do anything. That is called MDM, mobile device management. We need to tell them my mobile is being missed, or they can easily find out, because when the next time uh, the person who got the new our mobile, they can easily identify through the fingerprints or any other password mismatch. So the company itself remove all the information from our mobile. So these are the security advantages in M365. So in under M365, I told Outlook, SharePoint, MS Teams, these are the very emerging technology. You know, after pandemic, Microsoft Teams, I still remember actually. So 3 years back, they introduced Microsoft Teams. Before Microsoft Teams, there was another product called Skype for Business. Skype for Business was there almost more than 5 years. So at the time, at the time, Microsoft was planned to replace Skype for Business with Microsoft Teams. So they launched almost 3 years back. So when they launched, Microsoft was not successful with this product because everyone was using Skype. No one was ready to exchange it there. Suddenly, through the pandemic, the last 2 years, right? So everyone in the world started using. Everyone in the sense, whoever is having the Microsoft 365 license, they started using it. So I forgot to tell one thing. So in the here in the Microsoft 365, right? So how this system works, this licensing model works. For example, if I'm having a company, and I'm having 100 employees, so I need to ask Microsoft to give 100 licenses, because every single licenses M365, they will provide license to my employees. So I can get a tenant from them. For example, CIT, the college, if they want to have a Microsoft 365 account, for education, they have their one setup, M365 education licensing model. Now you can see Microsoft enterprise education model, enterprise licensing model. For schools and colleges, it's called education. Also for small companies, they have business model, small business licensing model. So based on our number of professors or number of employees in our college or company, we can ask. So they will provide 100 license or something. So the 100 license will be acquired, and every single license will be assigned to every single person. So then as soon as they got their Microsoft 365 account, so they can have their own Outlook, they can have their own space that is called OneDrive. Everything will be dedicatedly available for every single user. This is the plan. Now again comes to the Microsoft Teams. So after the pandemic, the last year, the drastically changed. The usage of Microsoft Teams has been drastically changed. You can see here, 3 million teams and counting have been created. 200,000 organizations are currently using Teams worldwide. And one of the key factor is 60% of Teams users reside outside of US. So only 40% of Teams is used by Americans, and the rest of the 60% are worldwide, India, UK, Europe, and other countries. And they keep adding the languages. The language is the barrier. Previously language was the barrier. Now they keep increasing the languages. So currently 39 languages are available. And SharePoint. So they keep so through SharePoint is a separate paradigm. So you need to learn a lot. So I don't want to give the explanation. So we are running out of time, I guess. This is a SaaS product. So we have seen cloud computing, and the cloud computing we have seen IaaS PaaS with the example of AWS, and then we have seen Microsoft 365 as an example of software as a service. Okay, so now we can go to the next topic, edge and cloud computing, edge computing. So here I would like to give some the connection between edge computing and the cloud computing. Edge computing is a distributed information technology architecture in which a client data is processed at the periphery of the network as close to the originating source as an example. What it means, so edge computing is a distributed information technology where the client data is processed. In the image, you can see the center point is cloud, it's a data center, and every corner you can see the edge gateway server. The edge gateway server is trying to connect with every single object, right? It's a car, mobile, building. So they are trying to, every edge network is trying to connect with every single object. And one more thing is worth noting too, actually, the edge computing is not the alternative to cloud computing. As much as it is the extension of cloud computing, edge infrastructure can integrate with central cloud data centers to deliver performance levels that wouldn't be possible using the cloud alone. So here, the data are processing. So how the data are getting? So through this, so here in the car, you can see in the car is a thing. Car is a thing. This building is a thing. Thing in the sense, again, I will come to the point, Internet of Things. How do you call it? Internet of Things. Thing is nothing but an object. So here, the thing is an object is called car, mobile, van, or any building. So through these objects, the edge computing is trying to get the data here. So these objects keep sending the data to the edge gateway. So edge gateway will process the data. So edge gateway will process the data, and it will try to send the necessary data to the data center. We don't want to keep sending all the data here. What if the car example, the car is having IoT devices? What if the car is keep sending the information to the cloud computing? I will explain. So because I'm here again, we need to talk about the client and server model, right? So every time if a client hitting the server, the performance will not be good. So that's what they do. So previously in the olden age again, so we used to have the client validation and the server validation. There are a lot of concepts over there, so I don't want to explain. So because of the edge network, it improves time to action. So now the IoT of car is getting connected with the gateway server. If the edge computer is not there, this car has to be connected with the data center cloud. So it will create unnecessary delays, response times. So the edge computing will fasten the process. It will try to gather as much as information, and it accumulates the information, and it will deploy, or it will store only the necessary information to the cloud computing, cloud server. This is what it's doing. The principle is straightforward. If you can't get the data closer to the data center, get the data center close to the data. You got the point, right? If you can't get the data closer to the data center, get the data center close to the data. For example, this car. we are getting the information from the car. We cannot, in order to access the clouds, for example, the car is available in Chennai or Andhra. The data center is available in the Mumbai. How the things are happening? So in order to communicate the server every now and then, they have their own edge computing. The edge computing will do the process, and it will store only the necessary information into the cloud. This is what they're doing. So now I was referring every single object as a thing, right? So here the new technology comes in place, that is called IoT. I will give the example how the IoT works now. So because now you got the point here in the data center is receiving information from the edge gateway. The edge gateway is trying to get the information from the IoT devices. This is where the IoT devices comes in place. The Internet of Things describes physical objects with sensors, processing ability, softwares, and other technologies that connect to exchange data with other devices. As I said, it's trying to connect the physical object with the server through sensors, processing ability, and others. So, is the cloud necessary for IoT? Technically, the answer is no. The data processing and commenting could take place locally rather than cloud via the internet connection. So again, it's the IoT and the cloud computing is connected between it's a edge computing, or we can call it, another term is fog computing. The Internet of Things is a system of interrelated computing devices, mechanical and digital machines. Here I would like to give the story about IoT. Is again, the first IoT thing was introduced in 1980s actually. A college student named so first IoT thing was introduced on 1980s by a college student called David Nicol. He was a student of Carnegie Mellon University in Pennsylvania. He was a student he was in a classroom. So they had the same time they got another soda machine somewhere else in the canteen. So every time they have to go the soda machine and they have to get it if they need. So what happens actually, most of the time whenever they go to this machine, soda machine, they don't get it. Either it's emptied or either it's a fresh one. It's not that much cool. So what David Nicol has done, he has created a machine. He has created a software trying to connect the soda machine. So based on the light, the soda machine, there's a indicator light. If it is empty, it will show yellow color or something. If it is new soda items are filled, then it's another color. If it is empty, it's another color. Based on that, he created a machine. He created a software that was the first IoT. And in 2008, the IoT devices, the number of IoT devices in the world is more or less equal to the human population in the world in 2008. Now you can see in the world there are 30 billion devices today. So again, is keep increasing it, and expected there's an expectation in 2025 every single human must have 10 devices. It's not mean that I'm going to have 10 devices. It's a say how many in 2025 the IoT devices is 10 times higher than the human population. That's a plan. That's a presumption actually. And also the estimated market value currently is $248 billion, but in 2025 we are expecting in the IoT history is $1.6 trillion in 2025. And again, the predictions about in 2025 expected devices values 75 billions. and cyber criminals. Whenever a technology grows, the negative side as it grows, right? So cyber criminals will continue to use IoT devices to facilitate some attacks. Most of the cities will become a smart city, so everywhere they will use IoT. These are the positive notes about IoT. And as I said, IoT is keep sending the information to the cloud computing. Okay, so it creates. So when we have a IoT with a device, 24 hours it will create the data. For example, doorbell. We have a doorbell or something. So 24 hours it keep checking if someone is coming or not. So it will generate data for 24 hours. Through edge computing, it will store only the few data in the system. This is what they're happening. So next one is artificial intelligence. So integration of artificial intelligence and IoT. IoT is a data generator for 24/7. On the contrary, AI is the data consumer. Artificial intelligence, it needs a hell lot of data to accomplish any work. So for example, machine learning. So we keep providing data to make the program success. So machine language, for example, the weather report. So how they are finding the weather report. It's a inbuilt data, right? So we need to provide for example 10 to 20 years or 30 years data to the machine language. So we need to feed the data. Based on that, it will provide the forecast in the future. That's one kind of forecast. And when we talk about AI and IoT, artificial intelligence is a brain, and IoT is like a body. So IoT keep generating the data based on the process. So when we code in artificial intelligence, it can through the data, it can process the data, it can analyze the data, it can learn, and then finally the artificial intelligence decides what needs to be done. There's a best example is smart retail. Is the best example of things. In a smart retail, a camera system equipped with computer vision capabilities to use the facial recognition, right? In the smart, for example, when we have a supermarket, we can have a artificial intelligence project. So when I enter or when someone is enter, it will recognize my posture. So okay, Nihat Khan is coming in. His age is like between 30 and 40 or 20 and 30. He's a man. All the information will be stored in the AI system, and then what the AI system will do, it will check what Nihat Khan is purchasing. Is he purchasing gym related items, or is he purchasing any juice related item or any alcohol items? It will check all the information. So finally it will conclude, okay, Nihat Khan in between this age is like gym product or something. The same way it will try to get some other person as well. So for example, Kiran sir is coming in, so the system will look about the Kiran sir's presence and what he does as well. So based on the information, it will conclude. So what it will do in future, whenever a person like Nihat Khan coming in, it will populate the information like, hey Nihat, the gym related products are there, go and get it. That's what the ad and other things are happening. The social media, digital marketing. The marketing is working based on this AI information. So this this what the integration between artificial and IoT. IoT generates the data. Artificial intelligence try to process and try to decide what needs to be done. These are overall the integration part. And finally, we come to the end actually, because already it's 1 hour. So then the next thing is, what are the market value? So what are the opportunities in emerging trends? So we have seen first the cloud computing and how the edge computing work with cloud computing, and the edge computing and the IoT devices, how they are getting interrelated and they are processing the data. And through the IoT data, how we can use artificial intelligence for the digital campaign, online campaign or something. So this is what the whole things are doing. Like I said, the opportunities in the upcoming period, again, cloud technology is on top. You can see 34% of the whole IT related task will be assigned for the cloud computing. So that's again is a number one. Here you can see the big data is 26 in the percentage, is the second place. Internet of Things 14% is the fourth place. Artificial intelligence. So there are a lot of opportunities as well. So now whoever presented the journals, keep research and keep doing your good work actually. So in the upcoming years is waiting for us to get a good job as well. So this may complete points. Any questions or any clarification, please do let me know. Over to Kiran sir. Thank you.